Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel for another figure unboxing and review. Today we are taking a look at the Lightning Collection Hasbro Zord Ascension Project Dragonzord. I picked mine up at Big Bad Toy Store, link in the description below. When down there, I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button, bell icon, and join button. That way you are notified as soon as a brand new review goes live on my channel. Alright, now this is one box that I may have a hard time throwing away. The box art is really cool. You can see you have a lightning bolt here as a cutout, and then below that, so below this cutout here, you have an image, a pixelated or art style image of the actual Dragonzord. Side of the box, you have some Dragonzord art, comic book style, drawn art. On the back side, you have an image of the actual figure itself, and this is pretty awesome how they did this. This is embossed, right? So there's a texture to this. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but it is three-dimensional in a sense. You have two Monopoly style Green Ranger figures, one calling the Dragonzord, the other one in fighting pose. You have your two combinations with the Dino Megazord, also in the Zord Ascension program. Your Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Z for Zord Ascension program. You have what looks like a cockpit here, or missile fingers here. All right, you come back to this side. It is same image on the opposite side, but an actual picture of the figure. And this looks awesome, right? So on this side, you have comic book art style. This side, you have the actual figure. So Hasbro made this box hard to throw away. I mean, the box itself is awesome. It looks really cool. The styling is unique, and it's a piece of art on its own. All right, now getting into it. Here's the inner shell. You can see in all of its glory, the actual Dragonzord head here. On the back of the inner shell, we have all green and a sort of satiny metallic look. Opening it up. I'm gonna tell you right now, the packaging of this thing is awesome. I mean, they put a lot of time, thought, money, and effort into this packaging. And it looks really good. It's a pretty cool experience in itself. All right, so here are all of the accessories that come in the box. You have your user manual, ages 15 and plus. This tells you obviously how to put everything together, the different modes. Pretty useful. This thing can do a lot. Next, you have these are the same, just for different hands. You have your missile hands, or your rocket firing finger things. So these connect to the hands, and it's like a live action rocket firing. You have two of these, so you can do both hands simultaneously. You have two pre-fire hands. As you can see here, you have the missile points pointing out of the ends. Bottom, some nice sculpted in detail. Nice paint. Symbols there. Same symbol, same sculpted in detail as you would expect. Nothing on the bottom side. And you are not able to actually install the rockets here. So this is not a rocket firing hand. This is a relaxed or calmed hand. Two of those, so you have one on each. You have your Ultra Zord hands, so this is when combined with the actual Dino Megazord. Additional hands. Black, and they look like they can grip a sword. Next, we have the shoulder pieces for when in Ultra Zord configuration. Just extra details, which is cool. I mean, this is more accessories than you would expect to receive, and more than I think was provided with the previous iterations of this from the the Bandai or whatnot. And here we have the two army men looking Monopoly figure guys. Both Green Rangers, all green molded plastic. Pretty cool, a bit pointless, but I'm not mad at it. You have this one, he's calling the Dragonzord. And this one, he's in his Tommy Hia stance. And here, this supports the Dragonzord or Ultra Zord staff made with the Dragonzord tail when in Ultra Zord mode. So here is the Dragonzord in all of its glory. In terms of articulation, You have his head fin, goes up and down. No neck articulation, no head up or down. The mouth does open and close. The joint is really tight though. His arms do articulate, or his shoulders do articulate. You can see that both open up. And they also butterfly out. So they open up and butterfly out. So you can extend these actually pretty far. And that's probably needed for transformations. Hands, obviously on a ball joint. Arms go up and down. You can see up and down more or less. He does have his crotch guard. Does articulate up and down. He does have some waist articulation. Up and down. Does not spin side to side though. His legs articulate really well. That's about as far as the hip can go back. That's as far as the foot can go. And forward. He can move, straight up kick. It's pretty good articulation going forward. It's gonna be on both legs. His foot's on a ball joint. It is prohibited by the two side skirts here, but it does more or less rotate around. Very stable. That's the knee. And then you have the tail. You have ball joints throughout. They stay, and since it's all lightweight, it stays fairly well. So once you get the actual pose you like, it'll stay in that position. And then the tail itself up top just rotates up and down. So this is up and down, no side to side there. Up and down. But these can go side to side or any other which way. They all spin too. When you lock them into place, just push them down. And they lock more or less straight. The hands that come standard on him are the hands that you can actually put the effect pieces into. So you can see there's holes in the fingers here. There's nubs for the effect pieces. Double fire there. Straight shooter, shooting from the hip. I recommend that when you change the hands, pull the arms out, grab a hand, pull it to the ball joint, you can swap them out for any of these. Whichever hand you like. Pretty much it for the accessories. You have gray plastic throughout. None of the gray plastic is chromed or anything. It's like a metallic paint job, but not chromed. All the gold pieces on the actual figure itself, or not all, but most of the gold pieces in the actual figure itself are chrome or metallic gold painted. So they look really, really good. This whole thing is plastic, but it does not look like plastic. It looks, feels premium. It has a lot of sculpted in details that are not necessarily accurate to the show, but nonetheless, they stand out, give it an extra dimension. It adds a sense of realism to it. Feels like a toy, but it does not look like a toy whatsoever. It looks pretty cool. Now getting into the details here, you can see the chrome on top of the fin. You can see all these molded in details. Nice texturing pattern, nice metallic paint throughout. You see all the panel lining, gold panel lining in the head. Side of the jaw, you see the green and the gold. One thing that stood out to me was these two black side pieces. You see they have black with the gold debossed, but the black has like a hexagon pattern. Invented patterns on the silver plastic. You have translucent red pieces on the chest that look like they should light up, but they do not. Gold chrome in the center. This crotch section, you have the Z, which looks like the Zord Ascension project symbol. The green has the same hexagonal pattern that's on the black up top. Around his waist, his belt has the same hexagonal pattern with gold paint over the top, gold chrome on the shoulder pads, and again, same pattern. The pattern just adds some nice dimension to it, some detail, whereas if that was flat, it just wouldn't look as good. And they also added a bunch of this panel lining throughout. Give it a Gundam type of appearance. Moving down to the legs, you have the Dragonzord symbol. More of the hexagonal pattern. Painting is okay throughout. You see a little bit of overspray here and there, but nothing that's terrible. Chrome Dragonzord symbols on the knees. This was probably a missed opportunity. They could have used the same patterning for the knees. I think that would have looked pretty cool. Gray coming down the shins. And you have his feet. One thing that's cool about his feet is obviously they have a bunch of panel lining throughout. They have black paint, but they made his toenails like a different color, right? So you can see you have the standard gray plastic, and then here you have more of a goldish hue to it, like a yellow hue to the toes. Bottom of the feet, you see you have the Zord Ascension symbol or the Dragonzord symbol. Again, see with that same green hexagonal pattern. I feel like this was definitely a missed opportunity on the knees. This looks really good. Obviously this will be visible when in Ultra Zord mode. Tail, detail of the tail looks really good. Green paint, another missed opportunity in my opinion. They could have put that same pattern. I feel like if you're gonna do it, just do it. Make all the greens have that pattern, make it match. It still looks good, but I feel like it would have looked better with that detail. The detail is not accurate anyways, so if you're gonna throw it on the Zord everywhere, might as well be consistent with it. Nothing too much to call home about on the back of the Zord. You have an opening back here. This whole thing opens. This is probably related to the transformation. You have the cockpit with the Green Ranger up there. See him sitting in there. On the left-hand side, we have the Legacy Collection release from Bandai. On the right-hand side, we have the Lightning Collection release from Hasbro. They stand relatively the same size. The Bandai version has a little bit wider upper body and thinner lower body, whereas I think that the Dragonzord from Hasbro is all around better proportioned and more subtle and more realistic looking. I think that all of the details that they added to it in general very much helped to sell it. They added so much realism to it with panel lining, it looks more like a Gundam than a Power Rangers toy. It is readily available and it's awesome. Now there are perks to both, right? The Bandai version does look good on its own. It has the yellow gold die cast, whereas the Dragonzord from Hasbro is all plastic with metallized or vacuum formed parts, chrome parts. So it does have more of a shiny reflectiveness to it, which looks awesome. I mean, when light hits it, it just is, it's different than the actual Bandai release. It does have more presence, more shelf presence because of the chrome. Now, in terms of accuracy, obviously the Bandai version is going to be more accurate to the show, but shelf presence, realism, uniqueness, I do like the Hasbro version. You can also see in the chest, one of the main differences there, again, with the chrome versus the paint. The red orbs on the Dragonzord are translucent red, whereas on the left-hand side, they're paint. So one thing that Hasbro has been doing with their ZAP program in general is using mixed media. So they're adding their own little details, adding extra little panel lines and greebles, which is really, really helpful in selling an actual mech, right? Making it look more like a mech than a toy, or like more of a mech than a man in a costume, which in the original show it was. They do a great job of actually taking the concept of a Dragonzord and turning it into something that you might see in Gundam or Pacific Rim sort of thing. And in this case, I do prefer it. It's more lightweight, so when it transforms into the Ultra Zord, it's not gonna, it should be more stable and be able to articulate more than the Bandai version. Now let's wrap up on the Hasbro Dragonzord. I thought that I knew what to expect at this release, but the subtle and not so subtle differences make this a refreshing release, and it does excite me for future Hasbro releases. Hasbro has coming down the pipeline the In-Space Megazord, as well as a rumored White Tiger Zord. Hasbro could have rinsed and repeated the Bandai release and made a collectible grade die-cast Dragonzord that looks pretty show accurate but with very limited articulation. But no, Hasbro chose to make a one-of-a-kind, premium, lightweight, posable Megazord with great articulation. Overall, if you're a Power Rangers fan and you don't have the Soul of Chikogan Dragonzord, I highly recommend the Hasbro release. This is not as premium looking or feeling as the Soul of Chikogan release, but it is on par with the Dragonzord released by Bandai in the Legacy Collection. The only main difference being that the Dragonzord from Bandai has die-cast materials, otherwise the Hasbro release is all around better. So that being said, this one will be staying on my shelf, and the Bandai Legacy Collection version will be going back in the box. Now, I did get mine at Big Bad Toy Store, link in the description below. And when down there, I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, and join button. That way you're notified as soon as a brand new review goes live on my channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.